morning. Today we are going to look at pruning, and we're going to look at pruning this very big blackberry. This is the time of year to prune blackberries, but this one also has a climbing rose running through it, so we'll be looking at that as well. At this time of year, what you're basically doing is taking the old flowered and fruited branches out of the blackberry, almost down to ground level, so you will see there will be very little left when we have finished. The main things that I will be using today are my Felcoes. I use Felco 6s. You can use any secateurs. I prefer bypass secateurs because they tend to cut better. That's the ones that go over each other, not the ones that hit the metal there. And Kebtex, which are basically electronic secateurs. Very good if you've got arthritis and struggle with big things. Not so good if you've got little kids around or you're very clumsy. Okay, so we're going to set off today. So as I go along, I'm sorting out the blackberry, which is this, very, very spiny and has lots of spines on the stem, the main stem, from this rose, which actually has quite a smooth stem and looks very different if you look at it closely. I'm going to start by getting rid of these side shoots of the blackberry, just so that I can see what we're dealing with. And then as I get rid of some of this, we'll be able to see where to cut the bigger bits off. So you can see these all have the remains of the fruit from this year, and that's what you want to be getting rid of. So we'll come back to the rose later, but at the moment just cutting off the bits of blackberry. When you do this when you're starting off, you'll probably be very timid, and that's fine. As you get to know more what you're doing, you'll get much quicker at it and be able to see that which bits need to come off. So that's a bit of rose I will put to that side, and then I've got the blackberry here. And you can see that's got bits of dead on the end, that's got old blackberries on, and that just all comes off. So I'm being quite vicious with it, and it'll look like I'm cutting the whole blackberry down. And sometimes it's worrying if you're doing this for the first time. You'll think that you're doing too much. But as long as it's the stuff that's already fruited, you're fine. So I'm just going to carry on now, cutting all those out. And this will all go in the council bin. I don't want to put it in our compost because blackberry does tend to root both from the stems, and also any seeds that are left in are likely to grow. So I would tend to put it into the council compost. Now this is quite vicious blackberry, and you can get thorn-proof gloves, which I will show you some later. These are basically winter gloves rather than thorn-proof ones, but they do offer a bit of protection. I just find them easier to work with because I can move my fingers around better. So these are big bits now that I've already cut off the small stems that had the blackberries on, so I know that they've all got to come off. Now, if you see, I'm pulling that, and the reason that I'm having to pull that is that it is trying to reroot somewhere else. And this is what blackberries do, is that as they hit the ground, they then produce roots, and they grow into new blackberries. So you'll find a blackberry will just do this, reroot, do that, reroot. So you do have to keep an eye on them. Because basically what you're doing is you're leaving room for the new growth to come through for next year's blackberries. You can get some regrowth on older growth, which can produce blackberries, but it's the much better blackberries are on the new growth. And it also keeps rejuvenating the plant as you go. Right, so that's a very thick bit that I know has flowered. So I will take that right back to there. There we go, we can see the flowers on there, the old flowers on there. Now this is all 1 year's growth of this blackberry, because we cut it back this much last year as well. So you can see this is an incredibly vigorous blackberry. Thick clothes are also a good idea when you're doing this, otherwise you can tend to get slightly brutalised by it. So this is an old blackberry, and what's happened, you can see it's grown and grown very, very long, and it's come down here where it has hit the ground. And here it has decided to plant itself. Now we will dig that out because, we'll probably dig that out because it's very close to where the rose is. That's the rose and that's the blackberry, and it's planted itself. We haven't done that. So you can see that it does have a mind of its own and like to spread itself around. So here I'm going to have to climb on top of this wall in order to be able to reach some of this here. We've got a mixture here, glorious mixture of plum tree, Virginia creeper and ivy. So the Virginia creeper at this time of year can just be cut back because like the blackberry it grows very, very vigorously. So I'm just going to cut it back to get it out of the way for the moment, and then I will prune it properly another time. So I'll get all that out, and I'm going to cut this blackberry right back, because in fact there are no new shoots showing yet, so that can all come out like that. I have to be a bit careful because this fence is not the safest, so I'm just going to keep 1 foot on the ladder for now. Right, so obviously if you can avoid climbing on a wall, it's not something I would usually recommend. This is a wall that I've climbed on for many years as I've been doing this, and I know how to do it and which parts to climb, and also I am confident with my tools. So if you can avoid it, I wouldn't recommend this, but for this particular wall, this is why I'm doing it, is that I actually have to reach behind the wall, and that's quite difficult to do, to get between the wall and the fence. If I had to, I would just cut the blackberry a bit higher, which would be fine.
Don't forget, like, comment, share and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.